come once again to discuss things.
Slept in 48 hours and I feel like a god.
Okay, well on that note, you guys cool? Alright everyone, hi and welcome to this week's episode of Geeky Gentlemen. I am Sid Partout. Joining me today is Milan Jeftik 1992, who apparently feels like a god.
I am a god.
Alexander Stevenson, the superhero enthusiast. You may know him for his enthusiasm towards superheroes.
That is true.
Welcome, gentlemen, to this week's episode. And Milan, what are we discussing this week?
Superhero costumes and stuff.
Yeah, that's the gist of it. So I figured, like, a good way. That's actually a very timely topic, oddly enough, given the pictures Zack Snyder's put out and the footage we've got from the trailers for the Flash show. So I figured it'd be a good place to start this week, and we're going to try to start right on topic after I tell one quick little anecdote today because I think it's funny and I wanted to get it out on air. But we're going to start the conversation today talking about the new Batman costume and also the Flash costume. But before all that, so here's the background to the story. I had to take my car in to have the tires replaced today. I dropped it off before work, walked over to work, got off work, walked back across a couple parking lots to go pick up my car. On the way back, I passed a KFC, and in the window of a KFC was a picture of a cake, and underneath it said free cake, and it clearly did not say anything else. There was no little tiny text or any other little disclaimer when you buy this. So I'm like, free cake? Are you serious? So I walk in the store, and I walk up to the counter, and I'm like, there's a sign that says free cake. He goes, yeah? So do I just get a cake, or what's up? And the guy's like, no, you have to buy a 10-piece thing. I'm like, you can't lie about cake like that, man. And I just walk out the store.
The cake is a lie.
It is a
the
lie.
cake is a lie. That's exactly what I thought. I'm like, damn. It's not okay. You can't just lie about cakes to people like that. That's not right.
In Russia, lying about cake is a shooting offense.
Exactly. No, I just wanted to get that story out there because that's something funny that happened. So, anyway. Alright, so like I said, let's actually start on topic and see how quickly this becomes just Milan ranting about sexy men. So, Ben Affleck...
I never rant about sexy men. I only talk addict. And yeah, you're right, I do rant about sex.
Okay, anyway, so Ben Affleck's Batman costume, who wants to start?
Can I?
Sure.
I like the fact that it looks like The Dark Knight Returns. You know, at first when I saw that picture, I'm like, oh, some, art, some costume variants from, the new Arkham game, Arkham Knight. And then people told me, oh no, that's actually from the movie. And my reaction was like, is that Catman? And then I looked at it, and I'm like, oh my god, that's the Dark Knight, and he returns. And bloody hell does Ben Affleck look fucking built. It literally looked like, Frank Miller image come to life. He's just such a bulky looking motherfucker. And I'm like, I am happy.
Indeed. Alex, how about you?
I was somewhat more negative towards it in the beginning for that very same reason, in that it does seem like Dark Knight Returns, Batman just walked off the page, and I'm just, I don't know, I'm at a point where I'm just kind of burnt out on that kind of a Batman, and I was expecting this costume to be more or less exactly like it is, so I can't say I'm really disappointed, but given that the Nolan trilogy was just so heavily influenced by Frank Miller Batman, I just kind of wanted something a little bit different.
Yeah.
And
I'm waiting for the day where we get like Joe Kelly Batman on screen or something.
Joe Kelly? You mean the blue?
No, vampire. That's Neil Adams. I mean, like, vampire Batman.
Oh, you mean like the Spawn Batman?
Ridiculously long ear Batman.
Oh, you mean Spawn Batman?
Yeah. You know, one day, I'm sure it can happen. Milan Mike. Anyway, I actually like it. You know, I'm not the biggest Dark Knight Returns fan in the world or anything, but I do like that costume design. I think it's a pretty cool look. I'm just, you know, excited that, you know, I'm not sure if it's a recolor with Photoshop or if it's an actual picture, but there is that other picture of Ben Affleck in the Batman costume that's in color floating around.
Yeah, it's photoshopped, but
okay. Well, I'm so excited at the idea of just getting, you know, gray-suited Batman on screen, you know?
yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's been like a thing in the back of my head for the longest time, and I never wanted to say it in fear of giving the Nolan criticizers, like the Burton fanboys, too much rope. But doesn't it make more sense for Batman to wear gray than black since he's in a city? And, you know, just camouflage-wise, wouldn't he blend in with the buildings and gargoyles better if he's in gray?
Well,
yeah,
just breaking up the color, period.
Yeah. Anyway, that's just a thought I've had. You know, but I was actually really excited to see, you know, that version of Batman on screen. I'm like, wow, it's gonna be cool to see, you know, a Dark Knight Returns style Batman show up. So I'm interested to see where that goes.
Yeah.
All right. So any dissenting opinions or debate to have about the Batman costume, or do we want to move on to the Flash?
Well, I want to bring this little thing up, but I'm not complaining. They put Batman's name before Superman, but I don't care anymore.
Well, it's not about the movie. We're just talking about the suits.
Oh,
right now.
Okay. Well, the suit looks good. I can't wait to see it in motion, because Ben Affleck, say what you will, I love the man. He will always be Daredevil, and now nobody gives fucking Batman. I mean Ben Affleck. I have no money. Piss off, you scummy bastard.
I was just gonna use your Medicare card.
For what?
Good.
Piss off, Mickey.
He was going somewhere, and then this happened.
Fuck off, Mickey. Sorry, my little brother wants to steal money from my wallet, and I caught him.
Medicare.
Medicare? That does not exist. That's a communist ideal, Mickey.
You're a fucking idiot, man. Stop trying to impress your friends. You're a loser.
Oh, fuck.
You're a big fucking loser.
Oh, that's fucking nice.
That is nice.
Can you cut that bit out?
No.
Sorry, everyone. My little brother is a cunt.
No, because you pissed me off because you're not paying me money. I really need Medicare because I'm fucking injured.
But what? Oh, Mickey hurt his fucking thumb.
That is all swollen there.
Oh, it's all swollen.
Well, you
Yeah.
Yeah.
You loser.
Yeah.
You just keep drawing that naked muscular man.
Everyone, here's a tip to make the conversations Milan has with his little brother even more entertaining than they are. Imagine that he's actually talking to Mickey Mouse.
My little brother is wearing a giant fucking Mickey Mouse helmet. He kind of likes to sleep in it, and he never takes it off.
Okay, anyway. You were saying, Milan?
What did that come back for you?
What was I fucking saying?
I don't fucking know.
I don't know. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm curious if he can turn his head or not, because the cowl looks like it's connected to the neck. And that was a big part of the Nolan one, that, you know, he actually could turn his head, and at least in a second.
Yeah, I'm actually curious. See, in the comics, it always looks like the cowl is connected to the cape as opposed to the costume, and that's what I thought it looked like more. So, like, you'll get kind of that, like, cape swishiness that, you know, you didn't get very much in Dark Knight.
Yeah, it all depends on what the fabric actually is and how it works. Because we only have a still photo at this point, and I guess we'll see once we see it in motion.
Yeah.
You know,
like,
I just find this amusing beyond all end. Just a guy being able to turn his head in a Batman costume was treated by the fans like a great fucking revelation. Like fucking God descended from the heavens and gave them a fucking boon. The man can turn his head. That should have been solved like years ago, but no. Nolan is fucking a genius for allowing a man in a rubber suit to turn his head. Ask any fucking leather daddy, and they'll would have fixed the problem in an instant.
Well, no, it's just what's impressive about it is how practical, like, it actually became a story element, which was really impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what was so interesting about it. It's not just that they allowed him to turn his head, it's that they actually integrated it into the story. I don't think they've ever done that, where they change costumes in the middle of a franchise and actually give a reason for it.
The only time I can think of is, like, Batman Forever, because his costumes get destroyed and he has to use, like, the weird sonar experimental one, but
yeah,
that's not quite the same thing.
That's selling toys,
yeah.
Not like actually being practical.
But with
I guess still love the scene in Batman and Robin where it's just, now we randomly have these costumes, these things that were on for like 2 seconds.
Yeah. What does the silver do?
It looks cool.
I thought it was like, it's like, I don't know what I thought. I'm like...
It accentuates the nipples is what the silver does.
Ah, alright then. That explains everything then.
Mm.
More things should accentuate the nipples in superhero costumes.
I just want to know, why can't we get more nipples in superhero costumes?
Right?
I really
know.
If they're all wearing the tight spandex, you would think that they would show.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing that I guess I always found kind of silly about the Burton costume and the Schumacher costumes, but those less so because those were kind of meant to be silly, but the Burton costumes were supposed to be a little bit more serious. Is the idea was, okay, it's not Michael Keaton wearing a rubber suit, it's Bruce Wayne wearing a skin-tight suit that is, like, latexy, but all his muscles are showing through. But then in Batman Returns, he totally rips off the cowl, and you can tell it's, like, inch-thick rubber.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is really not working anymore, guys. It looks really like fake muscles, and when you break the illusion like that, what can I say?
Well, you know, the Tim Burton films were never really good on the whole consistency thing. I mean, that's the thing. Nerds, in general, nowadays, have just become so spoiled. Back in the 80s, if something like that were to happen, nobody would give a shit. They would still call it a masterpiece of comic book, movie making. But nowadays, oh, you younger kids with your, memory cloth or whatever the fuck it's called, and your accurate comic book, superhero outfits. Back in my fucking day, when I was a lad, we had to make do with rubber. And but now it's all like, oh, there's a little thing that's off about the costume, but now it's just like, oh, for fuck's sake. What do you want? Never mind. So, it's just... nowadays, everyone starts bitching and moaning and threatening to fucking bomb the designer if the tiniest little seam is off from the fucking costume. But...
Which is kind of crazy.
It is. Fuck. What the...
The one that jumps to mind for me is the just panned reaction the Green Lantern costume.
And that is, in my opinion, one of the best superhero costumes we've seen on film ever.
What?
I agree completely.
Well, practical... explain.
The suit is supposed to be a construct of the Ring, and in the movie it looks like it's a construct of the Ring.
And in the comics, it looks like fabric. Milan and I were reading the trade Green Lantern No Fear, and it's got a beautiful Alex Ross cover. And don't get me wrong, I love Alex Ross, right? But on the cover, Green Lantern it's clearly his uniform is fabric. But in the book, there's a scene devoted to him explaining that the costume is a construct, and it's not fabric. So it's such a weird thing, and I love...
It should never have wrinkles at the very least.
There's
that, and
you know what it should be, though?
Funny thing, the really, really funny thing is, back in, the first generation of not the Alan Scott, but the first generation of Hal Jordan comics, instead of the Ring making the costume, he would, open a portal, and there'd be, the costume on a hanger, and he'd have to put it on. I
want that back. Just I just want to open up a portal, and it's a closet in space-time where I keep my boots and shit.
Well, I guess that's where he keeps his battery and stuff too. But like, it's weird. And then in like I think it's in Sinestro War that they do it the most. But like, since their rings are dying, they're like fighting the crap out of each other. Just like they're not even using constructs anymore. It's just Sinestro, Hal, and Kyle just brawling in the streets. Just like the costumes are actually ripping, and it looks cool, but it makes no sense.
Yeah, that was something they did on the Justice League show, too. Sometimes Jon Stewart would be damaged, and his suit would, like, look ripped, and then, like, after the fight, he would fix it, and there would be, like, this green light that would go over him, and, like, the tears would disappear, and it's like, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, I think since this is high-tech alien technology, wouldn't the costume look like the type of material clothes are usually made out of on that person's planet? Because if you're just wearing a glowing body stocking, it's kind of disconcerting. But if you're a human being, the ring kind of makes the costume look and feel like the material that you're most used to.
Fair enough.
Which is spandex for some reason.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, you would think for Hal it would be more like a flight suit or something.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I'm looking at Guy Gardner, and he usually does have like a vest and something that looks more like, I guess, maybe like track pants or something. So Guy does that, and it's kind of like, it's partly that they're trying to make it make sense with the stuff they have, like set up in the system, like within the continuity, and another part of it is, well, we don't want to change the classic design. That outfit is iconic, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I love the movie costume. It's so brilliant, and just like all the fine detail. Like, we live in this age where everything's in high definition, and like, you need to earn high definition to me still. And like, every single seam of that costume, you can see like energy pulsing through it. And I love when he like makes a construct, you see the energy pulse out of the little grooves in his arm and stuff.
Yeah,
it's so cool.
It is.
And
cool.
on that same point, a lot of people have complained about, the Man of Steel suit and the texture to it and all these textured suits now. And you have to do that with, high-def cameras and IMAX superhero movies and stuff, because spandex looks like shit if you film it in HD.
Not
it
even
looks
well,
really, really cheap.
If you film it in HD, you're going to see in between the seams, and you're going to see basically the actor fucking naked.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I mean, it's not just that. I mean, if you have like a thing made out of cloth or whatever, it's just essentially one color. And I think they have to texture this because, like, during the 3D action scenes in the models, I mean, making a thing look like fabric through all that is a little bit harder. I'm not a texturing guy, but maybe they.
Oh no, fabric is a bitch to.
Oh, I see. So if you get like some sort of weird, something you can just slap on a 3D model that looks like the computer can handle, but making something look exactly like fabric all of the time, there's bound to be like something like a shot that it looks like just essentially a clay model. If you don't do it right. But, if you have everything textured, then it's just like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. The good thing about texture is you could actually just use a flat color or a specular color even, and then just bump it, and it actually will look better than applying a picture texture to it. But we're kind of getting a little far away, and I do want to talk about the Flash costume, because that's got a very polarized opinion out there.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see here. Who likes the Flash costume? Say aye. Aye. Okay then. Who doesn't like the Flash costume? Say nay.
Nay. I don't hate it. It's not terrible, but it's not. I don't think it's really great either.
It's not red enough. Like, I don't know. Maybe why is he wearing leather? He's a fucking runner. And it just looks like it's so weird because in the original Flash TV show, it was so funny. I remember watching it in Russia, and I'm like, why did they paint Batman in the red? Because it was essentially the Batman suit.
It really was.
Yeah.
It was. And I'm like...
The funny thing is, that Flash show is exactly what Arrow has done with the Batman movies now.
Yeah,
like,
really.
It's like Flash was like, well, people like Batman, so we'll just do Batman, but with the Flash. And Arrow was like, well, people like Nolan's Batman, so we'll just do Nolan's Batman with Green Arrow.
Yeah, and now they're doing it with everyone. I mean, it's just like, it's like, Batman.
I don't actually mind that. I don't mind the approach.
No.
This is a little tangenty. I don't mind the approach of bringing, of having this realistic world setting, and then bringing in the superhero elements, so long as everything that happens that's, you know, impossible comic booky stuff is treated as impossible and just as shocking as it would be if it actually were to happen.
Yeah. I agree with that, but it's just like, I'm a design guy. I'm an artiste, and I like color and whatever, but I'm just like...
And you're a hipster.
I am not a hipster. I am a man who hunts hipsters and eats their flesh, so I guess...
Sounds like a really hipstery thing to
No,
do.
it isn't. It's their poisonous influence, you know.
Milan was into that way before anyone else was.
Oh,
exactly.
I was not. I was part of the group. Everyone was hunting hipsters. Everyone just stopped because they've become one. I just keep killing them. I've like a... but anyway,
Go on with your point.
Anyway, I mean, it's just kind of like, I don't like the fact that they're trying to make all the costumes Nolanized, and I'm like...
I feel like the Flash one looks just like a red version of Green Arrow's costume.
Exactly.
At a certain point, yeah.
I mean,
which is, I mean, I guess that kind of works, because in this continuity, Barry Allen made Arrow's mask for him, so...
Well, and apparently he's the inspiration for him putting on a mask and being a superhero as well.
I suppose...
But it's weird because the costume appears to be coming from somewhere else, so...
Yeah, and it's made of leather, and I mean, like, he's a runner. If they gave him not even how can you move in a leather suit? Of course it's gonna
I don't know
chafe.
If it's supposed to be leather. It looks like it's... I don't think it's supposed to be leather. I think it's actually made out of leather, but I think it's supposed to be something else.
Well, because something is supposed to be made of something else... If it looks like leather on screen, then it's leather. I mean, that's the thing.
No, I think in the trailer they call it like a polymer or something like that.
Well, yeah, it's going to be some type of weird polymer, but I could actually be okay with it maybe even being slightly baggier, because then it would look like a weird tracksuit or something, and that's...
because that's what we need. We need a fucking Flash maybe with just Flash running in a tracksuit. Just in a red... Just like a fucking Russian mobster. Like, just a Russian mobster with a bucket on his head.
No, I mean, like, here's the thing I like about the Flash costume, because you guys are being a little rougher on it than I think it deserves. I like that they actually went so far, you can say it's got muted colors. I like that they went so far as to put it in a full-on, I mean, that is a Flash costume. You can't say it doesn't look anything like the Flash costume.
It does.
They put him in a full-on costume, he's got the mask, and they even went and put the lightning bolts on the side of his head. That is something that I do not see happening with a lot of superhero costumes. Even Thor doesn't wear his fucking helmet. So, just like those, like, that's the thing, everyone talks about, oh man, Marvel movies are so comic booky, Loki's helmet has those huge horns, yeah, and Thor's helmet was in one scene of the first movie.
And it looked good.
It looked fucking amazing. I think it's because, what's his name, Hemsworth's face is just too gorgeous to cover up with pieces of metal.
I like that. I guess I like to think that that's what the director said.
Of course.
Okay, we'll shoot it once for the fans, but your face is just too beautiful. You're making me kind of uncomfortable, mate. Well, too bad. Now be in my trailer naked in 10 minutes.
Oh, that's what I'm gonna do if I ever become a director. Just like, you want to be in my next movie? Yes, I'm a new timer. Okay, meet me in my trailer in 15 minutes. But I'll just, like how those sleazy directors force, young and unexperienced actresses into sex to get more work? I'll just do that, but for men, thus making it not sexist.
Thus making Milan a champion for feminists.
Indeed. I will, like, as I horribly break this boy, mentally and emotionally, there'll just be a whole slew of feminists making GIFs out of it, because I'll be posting the video on the internet.
Lovely.
I'm a horrible
no, but
person.
back
I'm
to
a
the Flash.
terrible, monstrous individual. Why would you say lovely? Oh my god.
Yeah. Back to the Flash costume thing, though. That's like I like that they were bold enough to actually, no holds barred, just go for it. And I don't see a lot of movies doing that, which I was impressed by.
Too bad it turned out rather shit.
Well, I don't think it is. I think it's a Flash costume that just happens to be a little dark.
Yeah, it's not.
You know what?
I don't think it's terrible. I don't think it's great either. It's just kind of middle of the road. But yeah, Ian, to your point, you're not going to confuse him for any other character. He looks like the Flash.
I suppose.
I mean, like that's one reason why I was so sure that's not what we were going to get. I'm like, there's no way you're going to be able to pull off a Flash costume. It's going to look really silly. I mean, I've seen some pretty kick-ass Flash cosplayers. It's a silly costume. I mean, you're dressed in red and you're wearing some pansy booties, and it's not going to work as like, oh, this guy's a badass. The Flash, to do his costume, you kind of need that innocent little kid mentality that Barry Allen and Wally West kind of have, where it's just, well, I think it looks cool.
Yeah.
Like, both of them were bullied, that both of them don't really have the kind of sense of, oh, well, people will make fun of me for this. So they're like, oh man, I love superheroes. I'm totally going to wear a superhero costume. And, it needs to kind of look straight off the page of something,
Yeah, it should. I mean, that's why they should have done it. Like, Flash is not like a dark, brooding individual, so he can fucking have that type of like, oh, I'm gonna wear dark red like the blood of my enemies. I'm gonna be like super duper Flash. I'm like, no, he's not a badass. He's not a badass. He's the Flash. He runs around and fights a guy with a freeze gun that doesn't kill people. I mean, his rose gallery is essentially the periodic table, but with, like, problems and stuff.
Boomerangs as well.
And boomerangs as well. But
like, that's the one thing I'm really curious about with the Flash show, because, like, alright, so, if you can't do a Batman show, but you want a realistic superhero character to start a series off of for television, who you go to? Green Arrow. It makes sense. Fine. Alright. You want to spin a character out of that universe. Who do you go to? The Flash? Really?
Yeah.
The guy whose main enemy is a fucking gorilla?
Not only that, a talking telepathic gorilla from a city of talking gorillas.
It's just like, it is Flash's hands down. It goes Flash, Superman as far as some of the kookiest shit that has ever been done in comic books. It is, I am so fascinated. They're starting off with Weather Wizard. That's cool. I think Weather Wizard, Captain Boomerang. Weather Wizard and then Captain Cold are about the only two Flash villains I can think of that are actually, like, kind of serious. Everyone else is just, I am so waiting to see what they do.
I hope
like, how are they going to make the Trickster a badass without just making him the Joker?
Yeah.
Like they did with fucking Captain Vertigo, or Count Vertigo, rather. No, just thoughts I have in general here.
The Trickster is like in the comics is a bit younger and whatever, and I'm like, that's cool, but like,
oh yeah, you could maybe do the Trickster as just like a misguided kid. I could see that, I guess.
Like, you can do that. Like, how old is fucking the actor that they got playing Barry, or what is it, Wally or Barry? Who is that?
It's Barry.
I mean, like, it's just,
which I like.
Yeah,
that's for a straight comic book first Flash kind of thing. I'm interested to see if like Jay Garrick's going to be in the show at all.
Maybe he will. Like, I want them to just introduce the multiverse things. It's like, and they just, like, if they have, like, a big, epic, season finale that just like, introduce the whole concept and say, like, all the, DC animated movie, not animated movies, like, all the live-action shit, it's all in this, like, hold on, then they'll just show pictures of Batman. What the fuck? Just everything.
Are you confusing yourself with your own point?
They just have, like...
I don't know where you're going. Why are you asking me for help?
I don't know. Basically, what they should do...
You're starting on this.
basically what they should just do at this, great finale is just to introduce the multiverse concept and just have like in that end episode of the Ninja Turtles where they just showed flashes of the other worlds and they were just like different incarnations of the Teenage Ninja Turtles cartoons and animated movies. They should do the same thing here, but with like live action TV shows and movies. Just like just have like fucking I don't know, Smallville and yeah. Oh, just a bunch like little windows into different worlds. Like, oh look, there's Nolan's Batman and whatever.
Right. Let's get back to the topic with something you said because I want to relate it to Flash and Smallville and the original Flash show. So here's the thing I don't get. Everyone's complaining, like Milan, that the Flash's costume in this TV show is too dark. To me, it's basically the same shade as the '90s costume. But more so to the point I was making earlier that it is the Flash clearly. You look at what they did with his costume in Smallville. It was a fucking hoodie with some lightning bolts on it.
Yeah, but trying to compare something to it was better. It was worse in Smallville. Isn't really like what am I saying? I fucking liked Smallville.
Smallville wasn't that long ago, and look how far we've come in a very short time.
Yes, he's wearing a bucket on his head. Yay! We're
if you
so
look at superhero movies as well, like. A lot of people have complained about the costumes in the X-Men movies, and I mean that was a very different time, I think, especially with those early ones, and studios weren't willing to take the risk of making things look way too weird and comic booky and crazy. And now they've evolved somewhat. The costumes for First Class looked really, really good, and they were colorful. And obviously for Days of Future Past, it's a dark dystopian future, so it makes sense. But if you look at like Wolverine's arms in that costume, they're blue and yellow underneath the black armor.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I still it gets mocked all the time as like the studio shitting on the fans, but I still think the line in the first X-Men movie, what'd you expect, yellow spandex, is one of the best lines in superhero movie history.
Yeah.
I don't get that joke, though, because it doesn't make any sense in universe.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to. Not to...
See, he agrees with me.
Okay, I still think it's one of the funniest lines, just because it's what everyone was thinking now. It's like, oh wow, these are the X-Men costumes. I was expecting the fucking, I still don't get Wolverine's hat or mask or whatever it is in the comics. I'm like, how does that aid you in tracking and hunting people down? Are you hunting people in like a 60s dance club or something? Are you at a masquerade ball when you're hunting people? Am I the only one that doesn't like Wolverine's mask?
Well, it's weird that his mask also looks like his hair.
Yeah. I don't know. See, it makes sense with Batman because the ears they're bat-like, but with Wolverine, like what?
They're not like a Wolverine's ears.
They really aren't. Like, where's this coming from? Explain yourself.
He doesn't really look like a Wolverine at all. I mean, Wolverines aren't bright yellow and blue. And they don't have stripes like that, so...
Yeah, that's crazy. Wolverine looks more like he's out of the 90s than the 60s to me, As far as his costume design goes, just that blue and yellow, like that electric kind of look to it. I'm like, huh.
Well, he doesn't have a whole bunch of, pouches and belts all over him, though. And like a robot arm.
Hey, robot arms are cool. You're an Aquaman fan. That was like the best thing Aquaman ever had was a, friggin' robotic harpoon arm.
Oh, you're talking about that, yeah.
That was the coolest fucking thing ever. Why can't we get that Aquaman on screen? God damn it.
Maybe we will. I don't know.
I love that design. Like I was so in love with it. Because that's the Aquaman I was introduced to, where he was actually a badass in Justice League, and then I started seeing all this other stuff. I'm like, oh, this is why people hate Aquaman, because he's useless otherwise. But in Justice League, he was just so fucking awesome. And he had a harpoon for an arm. That's cool.
I can't argue with that. That's just a true statement.
Yes, harpoon. Everyone should have their, like, honestly, it's weird. I was talking about it with Bobby because he and I for a little while were doing Game of Thrones reactions, and I'll do a spoiler alert for everybody that is caught up on the show. Like, the guy that plays Jaime Lannister, I really want him to play Aquaman, or I want him to say fuck the gold hand and just give me a goddamn harpoon arm. Because that would be so much cooler.
Well, that's what he's dealing with right now, right? Is his inability to be a swordsman now that he's missing his dominant hand, so just give him a fucking, like, knife hand.
Right? Be the shit.
Yeah.
That's all. George R. Martin, if you're listening, assuming you haven't killed that character already, write this shit down. That's probably some shit he'd do, though. He's like, okay, fine, you want me to give Jaime a fucking hook hand? Here. Okay, we have lost Alex temporarily. He will be back. But anyway, let me finish this point. It's like, give fucking Jaime Lannister a hook hand, George R. R. Martin. Fine, here's his hook hand. And then he accidentally stabs himself with it and dies. You serial killing bastard. Because that's how conversations go with George R. R. Martin. That guy should write some comic books. Like, I know he does Game of Thrones comic books, but he should write some superhero stuff. He'd be good at that. Particularly, actually, you know, he'd be a pretty good Aquaman writer. Huh. That's a good thought. Because some of the interesting things done with Aquaman involve politics, so between, you know, the surface and Atlantis. I'd watch that. Or read that. Alex is gone. I'll try and call him back. See if this works. Do 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 do. Ba ba da ba da da da.
There.
There we go. Cool. Alex is back, everyone.
Hooray!
Yes, indeed. That's a little egotistical.
Well,
anyway.
I'm just speaking for myself.
Yeah. Alright, so while you were gone, I threw out this premise.
Okay.
Would you read, like, say George R. R. Martin survives long enough to write the last couple Game of Thrones books, would you read a George R. R. Martin Aquaman comic?
Yes, I would. Because a lot of people would probably die.
Yes, that, and just, like, he does politics really well, and that's some of the interesting stuff with Aquaman is...
Yeah, he could play with the whole power politics of Atlantis and Aquaman's evil brother Orm and all that kind of beautiful court intrigue stuff.
Either that or just politics between the Atlanteans and the surface.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool too. Game of Seas.
Game of Seas. Ba-ba-ba-da-ba-ba. I think we might have an intro song for this week. Anyway, I like the fucking hook hand thing. It's so cool. Anyway, how did we get here, and where do we go from now?
Well, what did you guys think of the original Amazing Spider-Man suit, and then the suit that they had for the new movie?
Well, the thing is, the suit for the new movie looked exactly like, you know, I mean, it's really hard for me to tell the difference just by glancing at him between the new movie and the old franchise. And I didn't, like, hate or love. I was kind of just mad to the costume in the first one. But oddly enough, my problem with the first one is I didn't feel like it really felt very different from the Raimi franchise at all. Like, just in tone and in general, I felt like it could have been the same movie, honestly. Or in the same franchise in a lot of ways. And the second one, I didn't feel that way, but that one has a Spider-Man suit that looks, you know, a lot like the other one. I don't know, it's just weird to me.
Well, because I think you're sort of hitting on something here, and I don't know that I totally agree about those movies, but that I think is important, and that's a costume needs to be reflective of the hero and of the take, and that's why I think there is a lot of rush to judgment when people see costumes revealed for movies and stuff, because it does say something about the production. No, it doesn't say that the movie's going to be good or bad, but it does tell you something about the film aesthetically.
Definitely. Like, you know, that to add to that, you know, when you see the Nolan Batman costume, not talking about Begins, but Dark Knight, when the first set pictures were revealed for that, you could see the armor, you could tell it was sticking with the, you know, practical tone of the first movie. And then when you saw like Bane and it's like very strange looking mask that really said, okay, we're not going to go comic book at all with Bane, which, you know, they did and they didn't, as far as like his look, not comic book at all, but stories. I mean, it's really hard to find anything good with Bane, because after Nightfall, no one knew what the fuck to do with Bane.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, we got this guy who beat up Batman, what do we do now? He's not on Venom anymore. Now he is on Venom. Now he's not.
Now he's dating Talia. Now he's not. She finds him repulsive. Now he's in the Secret Six.
Now he's afraid of Batman? I'm so confused.
Yeah.
He's a big, strong guy. No, he's an intellectual.
Well, here's something. You know, what did you guys think of the Joker's look in The Dark Knight? Because that was a departure, but I think it was a good one, and it fit totally what they were going for.
Oh, I absolutely love the Joker's design in Dark Knight. I mean, it's crazy. Even fans of that movie will sit here and try to justify why he does actually have white skin and it's not just makeup. I'm like, no, shut up. Just the makeup's actually better than the white skin, because I like the premise that it's a choice. I like the idea that he's doing it on purpose, you know? I don't like revenge Joker. I don't like, you know, just crazy for the sake of crazy Joker. I like Joker that just wants to, you know, show Batman what he thinks of the world. And, you know, just because he's obsessed with Batman. And that's what Heath Ledger's did, and it was so perfect. It's like, it looks, in a lot of ways, straight off the page. You know, they did the purple suit and the, you know, the clown look. You cannot look at Heath Ledger's Joker and say that doesn't look like a very disturbed clown, which is what I think you have to kind of go for with Joker in a lot of ways.
No, I agree, and I liked how they played up a little bit more the sort of Harlequin of hate aspect of his character, because he does just want to watch the world burn, you know, and I just enjoyed that take. And I think the costume is very reflective of it, too, because it is very much like the comics, but it is this kind of grungy sort of punk thing, too.
It's so cool. It just looks... Alright, I just thought of this, so I want to say it before I forget. So I saw a little comic strip, because, God, so much fan art and just parody and all this stuff came out after Dark Knight. But there's one that's just really funny when they point out some, like, throwaway lines in the movie. This one was in the trailer. Clothing is custom, no tags or labels. And they show that little, like, blurb. That it's just Joker sitting at the sewing machine making his outfit.
Well, that's what I love about the character, is that, you know, he's always putting his face on stuff, and you gotta imagine, like, in the weeks leading up to one of his big capers, he's probably, like, just shut away in a warehouse somewhere making papier-mâché versions of his own head.
Right? It's really disturbing. Oh, God. So much parody. Unfortunately, they never finished it, and I don't think they're doing it anymore. But there is someone on DeviantArt, and I always recommend them whenever it comes to mind. They did this comic strip, and the premise was to do every scene from The Dark Knight. But it was called The Dork Knight, and it was just... Oh, it was so hilarious. There was like, one of my favorite gags was a theological debate about whether or not Harvey Dent existed. Because people believed in Harvey Dent, and other people did not.
No, lovely.
Mulan is back, everybody.
Yes, yes, I managed to fight and win. I now have to get rid of the body. Fuck.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Milan, what do you think of Heath Ledger's costume in Dark Knight?
It was a costume in a movie that was good.
That means Milan doesn't have an opinion.
No, I do not. Like, it's a good costume. I mean, it's the Joker costume. I mean, what do you want? It has all the right colors. It looks like something that Joker would wear in the comics, and yeah, it has kind of a flamboyant, foppishness to it, but had that kind of goth kid influence as well with the whole, long trench coat and whatever. But, it was colorful, and it was like, yeah, I could see the Joker wearing this. And really, that Joker in that movie he could fucking wear anything, and as long as he had the makeup on and flicked his tongue, he'd still be the fucking Joker. I mean, he proved that.
Which is actually, that's one of the craziest things, and I don't know like how much of this is just me pulling at straws and how much of it is actually intentional. But every time I watch that movie, I notice something else, and one thing I noticed is he's constantly flicking his tongue, and they talk about him a lot like he's not a human being in that movie. They they don't. No one humanizes the Joker. No one tries to give after Alfred's little speech about some men want to just want to watch the world burn. No one thinks of the Joker as a person. They keep speaking of him like he's not human. And so they're making him very animalistic. And what other animal do you think of that flicks its tongue?
Snake.
A snake. And what's the immediate association with snake?
And he does tempt Harvey Dent to the dark side.
Yeah, and so it's just I'm really curious if that's the tongue flicking was intentional to make me think of him as Satan, or if that's just me going way too far.
I suppose so. I mean, didn't you bring up some sort of those? Apparently, there was they talked about it being apparently antipsychotic medication makes your mouth all dry, but it's I guess the whole snake.
Wearing
bits.
grease paint does too, so that might account for it.
Yeah.
That and I do have a scar on the side of my mouth, and when you first get it, you do tend to lick at it. I can say this even without having that scar. When I had braces, you just lick them, and then when you get them off after you're used to them, you're just licking your teeth. It's just you're curious about it. Your tongue's not used to it, so it's always kind of feeling around basically.
Which brings up the whole issue of how old the scars actually are. But that's a whole other discussion, maybe.
I like to think that he did them the night he first saw Batman, but that's just me.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I like that, he talked about that little scenario of the, Jack Napier, whoever the hell he was before he became the Joker, just sitting in a room somewhere with a gun, planning to commit suicide, and, then a Batarang comes, hurtling through the window, and it cuts his fucking face open into a smile, and Batman runs on a rooftop.
No, actually, because this was from a fan fiction I wrote. The scenario was he was basically about to hang himself when yes, a Batarang did come in and cut open one side of his face. Then he grabbed the Batarang, went to the mirror, and cut open the other side himself.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. He kind of mutilated himself because he saw Batman, and was okay, now I guess I'm insane.
Well, that wasn't all of it, but yes. Thank you for being overly simplistic, as you usually are, Milan.
Oh, thank you. You're welcome. That's my speciality.
Not a problem. Anyway, I love Heath Ledger's Joker.
Oh, really? That is such a weird. You're calling me the hipster? Oh my god. Oh.
What?
I'm trying to
say. Hipster would say no, he's not cool as the Joker because it's popular.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But let's jump to another superhero, Superman, and his costumes, because the Superman Returns one got a lot of flack despite being relatively faithful, and I don't really care for it either.
Was because of the belt. Captain Logan hates the belt, so everyone hates that costume.
The belt is terrible, but the problem is all of the right pieces are there, they're just not in the right proportions. The boots are too short, the cape is too long, he doesn't have the wide boat neck collar. It's just everything seems weirdly out of proportion.
Yeah. And it's weird because Yeah, that costume would work like in motion when he's saving the plane. It looks fantastic. Like, oh yay, Superman doing stuff. But it's just like they put it on a dead-eyed mannequin thing that breathed, and I'm like,
that didn't help either.
No, like that guy had like he had that scene when like Professor Lupus or whatever the hell his name was in Halloween describes young Michael Myers. He had the blackest eyes, a doll's eyes, and
that's from Jaws, bro.
Whatever, and that's also in Halloween. Like that's also in Halloween, and I'm like, yes, that's Superman Returns. That those dead cold devil's eyes, doll eyes, are what kind of sunk that movie. They could have put as much money as they wanted it to do in there. I mean, he was a good Clark Kent, but like Superman smiles with genuineness, and instead this one had like nothing. Just this.
Brandon Routh wasn't very charming, but I mean, I think the real problem of that movie is it's just not well written, and other characters are more heroic than Superman, which just fundamentally is wrong.
Yeah, you know what I think? This brings to an interesting point. How much is selling the costume a part of the superhero costume working or not? Like, I'm trying to think of an example of it. It is a really kooky costume. All right. This isn't necessarily superhero, but I'd like to think of him as one anyway. Colin Baker as the Doctor, the Sixth Doctor. And all the Doctors have had kind of silly clothes to one extent or another. But Colin Baker, for non-Doctor Who fans, is the one that looks like he mugged Joseph for his Technicolor Dreamcoat. It is bright rainbow colors, and it is ugly as sin, and you can tell that it was the 80s Doctor Who costume. But the man sells it!
Yeah.
He just saunters around in the thing, and you can believe that he thinks he looks good in it, and you can believe everything he does in it. Colin Baker, he didn't get a lot of good Doctor Who stories, but the ones he did, he totally made it work, and he filled the costume, he made it cool.
Yeah, like that's the thing. You can people complain about the original Superman costume is too hokey. I mean, it's not the costume that's the problem. I mean, everyone is trying to make Superman cool again. And Superman, he doesn't need... if you keep reminding people that Superman needs to be cool, then, I think the majority why people love Batman so much nowadays, and the Joker and whatever, is because, really, everyone says that Batman and the Joker are cool, and they are, but... some of those people who aren't really comic book fans hear all the noise and all the blather and all the hype, and they decide, well, I don't know a thing or two about this, but everyone else seems to like it, so I might as well just join in and scream the loudest. And it's just like, yeah, suppose...
And Milan's hipster manifesto has now been recited.
Stop calling me a hipster. I'm trying to make a point here. I mean, it's
just a very hipstery point, though.
Stop it! You're making me cry. Call me a dickhead or a cockmuncher. Something. Just not a hipster. You're making me feel icky on the inside of my soul.
You don't have a soul.
I know. See, that's better. That's old-fashioned-y and the kind of I miss. You
don't have a soul because you sold it to become a hipster.
Oh my God. Alex, can you help me? I want old Ian back. I want the one who just doesn't use that same horrible insult like a needle through the soul. I want, call me something other than a hipster. I'll take it with on my knees and an open mouth, gladly.
Oh my God.
Just don't call me a hipster,
Why does
please.
always go to blowjobs? Why?
Because I am a person who enjoys them. Yeah. Anyway, it's if
no,
you.
I get what you're saying, though.
Yeah.
Something just needs to pop.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just if you have a guy that you can put Superman in, like a guy who is Superman. Like, look at the Christopher Reeve costume. It's not very good, but Christopher Reeve is fucking Superman. That guy sells the long underwear. You know, like, I mean, look at him in proof. Yeah, it just looks goofy, but, like, that man fills it out, and he acts like Superman, he smiles like Superman, and it's fucking Superman. You could put...
I want to throw this in real quick while you're talking about that.
Yeah.
One of the things that I found really impressive is shortly after Henry Cavill was first announced as Superman, he gave an interview where he talked about the audition process.
Oh, yeah.
And part of it was that he had to dress up in the Christopher Reeve costume to deliver some of the lines, just to see if he could still sell it the way Reeve did. And that's one of the main reasons that he was cast, is because he, you know, even though the costume looks really silly by modern standards and really plain, he just sold it so well that they really loved him as Superman, which really makes me want to see, because I think they gave him Reeve lines to say as opposed to, you know, lines from the Man of Steel script. I'm really excited to see Batman, Superman, him take on more of that classic kind of Superman mentality.
Didn't they say they were gonna, like, redesign the Man of Steel costume to look a little bit more traditional Superman?
I think they said that they were gonna tweak it. I don't know what that means, though.
Yeah. Maybe they're gonna make it lighter colors, I don't know.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
No. Yeah, but instead, like, Batman versus Superman comes around and he's wearing the electric blue Superman outfit.
Oh my god, yes. Please, put that Superman on screen.
Oh my god.
No, like, here's the problem with that. They just need to create another superhero, because that's actually a kind of cool design and stuff. Just need another character. It doesn't need to be Superman. Let Superman be Superman. Just dump your costume design on someone else. I don't mind 90s electric blue Superman, but I'm like, come on, that's just totally another character, and you know it.
Yeah, but think about it.
How are you supposed to go to phone booth? Come on.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, it's really weird. I've been thinking about this. The Superman costume, like, really doesn't change all that much through the multiverse. I mean, think about it. I mean, you got the whole Nazi communist Superman, but that's just changing the symbol and the color palette. Whenever you go to any other character in the multiverse, they always, like, have, obviously they have the same core of the main design in them, but, you know, they look different. They look completely, like, with Batman, the ears are all fucking long and the cape's ridiculous, but with Superman, it's really hard to come up with something that isn't that classic cape, underwear on the outside, you know, long underwear look. I mean, yeah.
The only one I can really think of that's been successful and accepted at all is the Batman Beyond version.
I suppose so, yeah, but even then, they have to
and
go,
that's
like,
a good design
really...
suit. Like, that looks iconic. And that's, I guess, the thing we're getting at is the costume itself is kind of a symbol. And keeping it simple tends to work in most cases. I still don't understand how Spider-Man's costume works as well as it does, because it's totally complex and weird and doesn't make any sense, but then Steve Ditko did it, and that was just kind of his thing, was making things that don't work.
To actually build on to your point there about simplicity wins the day, I think that's the biggest problem with the new 52 costumes, is, like, from what I understand, Jim Lee was given the directive of redesign everyone's costume as if it were in the same universe as The Dark Knight. And
I knew it. I was about to say that.
That just doesn't work, because, like, I know I was the one saying, oh, make the thing believable. Yeah, but you gotta make the costume independent for the character. You know, the reason I like the Green Lantern costume in the movie is because it looks like it's made with the logic of the movie. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes the Batman Nolan costume work so well. It looks like it's made with the logic behind... it's designed with the logic of the character in the film.
Yeah.
It's doubly problematic in the New 52 because they take things that are iconic and then they just throw a bunch of lines on them. And I get really, really confused because if you look closely, there are similarities between all of the costumes. Like, the piping of the armor is the same on Superman's suit as it is on Batman's. The lines on Batman's gauntlets are the same as they are on Wonder Woman's gauntlets. But, so that's 3 different cultures that came up with the exact same designs completely independently. And that doesn't make any sense at all.
And it's just kind of weird because essentially the New 52, you know, I kind of learned to love it because it's Superman. I can't complain about it forever. But it's just like
anything that Superman Milan will love. I'll remember that.
Yes, exactly. If you want to just anyway, essentially it's just the Dark Knight bodysuit but sprayed blue.
I'm gonna hire a Superman cosplayer, like a guy that looks like if Superman just walked off the page, and I'm gonna get him to sit in front of a camera and say Milan is a hipster for an hour and a half, and then Milan will just have to accept it because it was Superman.
I will, and I would whip my dick out and just masturbate furiously because it's Superman calling me a hipster. I don't give a fuck.
If I just get Superman to say Milan, Milan's gonna be happy.
Oh, I will. But like that's the thing. I mean, we talked about like that that Flash costume back in the 90s, trying to look exactly like the Batman suit, the Tim Burton Batman suit. Like it's just the Batman suit spray painted red. And nowadays, like Batman keeps doing this to everyone else. He's like, okay, here's my uniform. Just spray it your color and just join me in the fight. And I'm like, I mean, like it's Superman, the guy who came before him, and it's just like, why do I need?
It's really funny because like that actually kind of sounds like something some versions of Batman would do.
Oh, totally. And it's just and Superman like gets this whole like new uniform from New 52 Batman. It's like, but like why is this thing bulletproof? My skin is bulletproof. I mean, I have, like, cloth that came with me in my basket. Ma can just, make it into a costume. And Batman's like, no! Just wear my old suit. Just, spray painted.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. Everyone complains about, Superman doesn't need armor. He's, his costume is supposed to be made from the, blankets that his mother put in the spaceship with him and stuff. I hate that idea because how many fucking blankets did that woman send? How many times have you seen a ripped Superman cape on a goddamn comic book?
Yeah,
alright,
yeah.
so how many blankets could she possibly have sent? Or is Superman scouring the wreckage of buildings for fucking threads so he can remake his costume after every time he gets ripped in a battle instead of saving people's lives?
Yeah, that's
well, that's not the
because,
case in every incarnation. I know John Byrne's didn't do it that way, but I agree it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, I don't like that, and I do like the idea of Superman wearing some kind of armor. No, he doesn't need it for when he's, fighting street criminals and stuff, but you're gonna go up against Darkseid wearing a fucking blankie? Come on now.
Yeah, but he does it every day, and I think that a costume, again, needs to be reflective of the character, and putting him in armor doesn't send the message that this guy's invulnerable.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I don't mind the idea of Superman wearing something that looks a little bit more... Like, I like the Man of Steel costume. It doesn't look like armor, but it looks more practical. It looks more... what's the word I want? Functional, as opposed to the fabric suit.
I suppose so. Like, there are a few things, like, that I really love about the new costume. Like, I rag on it because, it's Jim Lee, and anything Jim Lee touches is like, But, like, I like some of the, like, in the comics, they talked about it, like, he doesn't, he can still do the shirt rip, but he just has, like, the symbol, and it just, releases the suit, like, like, it's some sort of, like, memory fabric. When he opens up his shirt, the suit just kind of grows around him from the symbol that he wears on his chest, and it's like...
That's actually kind of cool. I don't mind that.
That is cool, and like they made the costume cool in my mind because they added on all that little extra stuff that kind of brought in that kind of Superman whimsy, like, yay, a thing does a cool thing, and I like it because it is a cool thing. That is that is how you make things good for Milan. Just make a thing cool. I'm such a fucking man-child. Oh my god.
No, see, like, I like the idea, though, that, the suit doesn't have to be a blanket, the suit doesn't have to be a suit of armor for Superman, but, it really needs to look at least believable that he wouldn't show up and get completely laughed at. Like, that should be... Superman does... Fuck Kryptonite. Just laugh at Superman when he shows up and he'll go away.
And part of that, too, is kind of like we said before, the actor who sells it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, like, there's these awesome fucking, like, 12-inch, like, however, there's these insanely detailed, amazing-looking, like, statuettes of comic book and, you know, movie characters. I think I posted one of those on my Twitter, of just this, you know, insanely detailed Superman statue. And I'm like, essentially, it's a miniaturized version of a person in a Superman suit. And it looks perfect. Like, it looks amazing.
What, is it like a Hot Toys or something?
No, it's like this super high, you know, quality painted figure that it looks literally like flesh and bone.
That would be a Hot Toys.
Yeah, and it just looks amazing. I'm like, you just do that.
Someone posted a really fucking cool picture. It actually fooled people to make them think it was a Photoshop. But Hot Toys made a Heath Ledger Joker and a Jack Nicholson Joker. And there's this really cool picture of the Heath Ledger Joker sitting down and the Jack Nicholson one behind him with his hands on his shoulders. And people thought it was just a really clever Photoshop. That's how good the figures are.
I know. That's how good it. Like that's a fucking. Oh my god, that's amazing. But like they did this one of this really fucking badass one of Doctor Doom, and I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Like these guys do those type of costumes, those silly straight from the page costumes. They do just these tiny little minor tweaks with fabric and whatever, and they make them look so insanely badass. They made the whole long underwear thing look amazing on this figure, and I'm like, just do that. But
as someone that has done cosplaying, Bobby and I did Joker, Bobby was Batman. You know why you want to have underwear on the outside of tights? Because it hides your junk.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't get, like, fucking tights or anything, but we went and got, like, these, you know, athletic sweatpants, these athletic pants for, like, you know, basically for exercising outdoors year-round, you know, so they're, like, kind of thermal looking, but they look very athletic. And, you know, we thought, oh, this is gonna look cool. And then Bobby puts it on, and it just bulge. And, like, that's why you put the trunks on the outside. Because it totally doesn't work. And, like, you know, you wanna strike fear into the hearts of criminals, taking the trunks off.
Yeah, though I suppose it depends on how big your bulge is.
I suppose so.
Once again, you do not want to show up and get laughed out. What's the name of the guy that's, like, Phoenix? The guy that walks around the streets, actual human being.
Oh, Phoenix Jones, yeah.
Yeah,
oh
like...
my god, I love that guy.
I gotta look at his costume sometime.
It looks fucking badass. He looks genuinely cool. You know?
Yeah.
And I love the guy. That motherfucker's an MMA fighter who's black and who has a hot, you know, white wife. And he's an insane comic book geek. And I'm like, what is there not to love? That is just like Milan's favorite person kit right there. Just yes. Just yes, 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 yes. Oh my god. And the motherfucker has balls of brass. And he can fight as... Oh my god, I love that guy.
Yeah.
At first, he does that whole superhero thing. Everyone was fucking laughing at him. Like, oh, fucking guy in a costume. And he's the real-life Kick-Ass. But... not a pussy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I mean, like, that's the whole real superheroes thing is both fascinating and kind of scary because, like, I'm just waiting for one of them to get killed.
Yeah.
But like, nah, it's just I had somewhere else I wanted to go with this point. Now I don't know where. Oh well.
Like,
I give.
You know what's like awesome? If I ever like manage to get, you know, people interested in this project or money, maybe I'll kickstart this thing. Essentially what I want to do is just film like a short film or like a feature film or something like that based on a life of one of those, you know, real life superheroes. I know it's been done with Kick-Ass and whatever, but just something like that, or maybe do a YouTube video series of just
they did a documentary following around the guys that dress up like superheroes, and not surprisingly a lot of them are just mentally disturbed individuals.
Yeah, a bunch of Rorschachs without the training. And like not
yes and no.
Yeah. But minus the whole.
I mean, literally homeless people who are certifiably insane. A number of them are supposed to be on medication or have not escaped, but have left institutions to go live on the street and fight crime. So you know, take that how you will.
They're my people, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
But like most of these guys are like seem like genuinely good people, crazy or not. I mean, like Rorschach just seems like he's like the guy I was talking about. That whole crazy, women bitches should stay in their place, and white man is the most horribly abused person in today's Western civilization. I mean, that's Rorschach. I mean, Alan Moore literally tried to make him the most unlikable bastard he could. And instead, he's like everyone's favorite character, because even though Rorschach is completely and utterly fucking insane, he has a moral code, something basically, resembling the stuff that people saw in the comics. A guy who was really black and white, and, essentially the question...
I think the thing that makes Rorschach likable is his sacrifice at the end.
Yeah, I suppose that as well.
I think that scene at the end where he, just says, where he goes, "Just do it," is the thing that makes him likable, because he, just as much as everyone in that room, wants the world to live in peace, but he can't let himself be compromised in that, so he's willing to die for it, which I think is likable.
That is very
okay,
likable. I mean that.
There's something you made me think of that
before
we
move on from Rorschach, like that's like the guy that I'm making fun of. I kind of like I make fun of him and call him a dumbass, but I kind of like him as well. He says the most stupidly outrageous shit, but he does it with such fucking conviction, and I'm like just I don't like logically I'm like. What you're saying is fucking retarded, but you're saying it with such balls, and I'm like, fucking hell, man.
So Milan's message to the children is, it doesn't matter if you're wrong, as long as you're arrogant about being wrong.
Yeah.
Well, it goes back to what we talked about before of, just selling it.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Motherfucker just sells the fuck out of that.
And an idea I had for the longest time, this isn't really necessarily costume related, but I guess it kind of is, because it's about cosplayers, rather. I would love for someone that, has the connections and knows how to use Photoshop well enough. I would love for someone to go to a Comic-Con and find some of the best cosplayers there, and then do, a photography session with them, right? And make a comic book out of it, and Photoshop them into different areas and stuff. Just do an entire comic book that's all Photoshop of cosplayers and locations, and just making it work. I would love to see that at some point.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
I think that would be amazing. I mean, I've seen some Photoshopped cosplays, and it's literally comics off page. It's like oh my god, this is amazing.
Mm-hmm. It's really fun. I remember, I just love to see cosplayers, particularly when they do really, really, specific things. When I was in Metropolis with Cap, I remember this guy did President Superman of Earth 23. I was like, oh, that's so cool. Just those oddly specific things, it's just so much fun to me.
Yeah, I actually saw a picture of a guy who literally made himself sepia tone, which is it was.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Those are cool. The black and white. Yeah, those are neat.
That is so fucking surreal, though. It's you should be on a small television with static all around you. Why are you in the real world? Brain, I'm hallucinating again. No, I'm a real person. And then I just
That's what they all say.
That's what they all say. Making fun of my mental illness is delightful.
It is, isn't it?
I know, right?
No, but I don't know. It's just interesting to me. That's just an idea I've had for the longest time. Of fuck it, let's just get cosplayers and do a comic book.
Yeah.
You have Comic-Con every year, and I'm reasonably sure at Comic-Con there are cosplayer contests and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Do something with that. That would be so cool. Everyone would be down for that shit.
Yeah, it'd be kind of like a fan film, but easier.
Yeah.
And cheaper.
You wouldn't have to worry about acting.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just something that's been in my head for a while.
You and Haley should do that.
Okay.
Challenge accepted.
Ian, you should spend money to make like 17 costumes and go location scouting.
No, just go to...
My whole point is cosplayers should do it, but okay.
Oh, okay then. No, I mean, like, go to Comic-Con and get in touch with the really big stuff, or just start a Kickstarter or something. Like, get the idea out there. I mean, like, sure, we don't get, like, views on this channel, but I'm sure, like, as an idea, it has some traction.
Okay. Thank you for your vote of confidence, Juan.
Oh, totally.
Anyway. I'm all about out of stuff I want to talk about. You two got anything else you wanted to get out there?
I hate most of the Watchmen movie costumes. There's a character called Silk Spectre, and is there silk in her costume? No.
But there's naked blue dong, so you know.
Yeah. Well, the physics of how his penis flopped was more accurate than the physics of how his mouth worked. So clearly, their priorities were right in that movie.
Oh, definitely. I have to agree with that. But I don't know, like
there was a Flash game that came out shortly after Watchmen, where you could play as Dr. Manhattan, and you just walk through the street flapping your dog around, and when you had to fight an enemy, you just cock slap people.
Oh, that's delightful. Oh my god.
No, but I see what you're saying. That's one of the things, like that, Silk Spectre is about the only one I think that doesn't work, though. Everyone else looks more or less off the page to me.
Ozymandias doesn't.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, I forgot about him. Literally, as you were saying that, though, Ozymandias popped in my head.
Yeah. His mask looks terrible in the movie. It looks like he's just got two black eyes.
It's like, dude, who fucked you up? It's like, fuck, what was his name in that? Like, the actual,
The comedian?
What?
The comedian?
No, Ozymandias.
Oh, Adrian Veidt.
Yeah, it's like, Adrian, who punched you in the face? Adrian, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, he's like, well, I was scuba diving, and then there's like a pressure malfunction.
No, I like the comedians isn't very off the page, except in the rape scenes.
In the what?
The rape scene's almost identical.
What scene? I didn't.
Rape scene.
There's a rape scene? Where?
It's. How do you not know this? It's like the most famous part of the whole fucking book and movie.
Like in the movie, there's a rape scene in the movie. Where?
In the pool hall at the when the comedian rapes the old Silk Spectre.
Oh, that's in the movie?
Yes.
Oh wow.
It's in all the cuts, isn't it?
No.
Yeah.
It's like a major fucking plot point.
Yeah, it is a major plot point.
Milan is woefully oblivious to
Milan,
the world
did you just
around.
not understand that it wasn't consensual?
I just don't remember like that going on. I'm like what the fuck? I
That's
gotta
when you went to the
rewatch that
bathroom?
fucking movie. Yeah, I think that's like when that part rolled around. I'm like, oh, gotta pee. And like my little brother's like, my little brother's like watching. I'm like, hey, did I miss anything? He's like, nah, you didn't miss nothing. I'm like, okay.
Oh, there was a sex scene. Oh, damn. That's just what making love is like in Russia.
Fuck.
I apologize for that joke.
Oh my god, that is fucked up, Ian, even for you.
Even for me, it is.
That's me saying that shit, and I like when you're fucked up. Oh.
Russia without love.
Russia without love is a Russia not worth keeping around. Oh
there is no love in Russia. Love, hope, and optimism are all illegal.
Oh my god. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, what do we got to say?
You got any, Alex, was there anything else you wanted to say about Watchmen, or did you just want to say the Silk Spectre thing?
Yeah.
And Ozymandias.
That was
You mean
more
Latex Spectre. You mean Latex Spectre.
Spectre.
There you go, we'll just change her name.
It all works now.
Yeah.
I don't know, we might have to do, like, the 4-hour version of Watchmen on this show at some point.
Oh, totally. I haven't seen that cut yet.
It's really...
Dude,
fixes a lot of the problems, I think. Doesn't get rid of the action scene problem that a lot of people have, but I think it fixes a lot of problems.
You know what I just realized? The Nolan Dark Knight movie costumes are just make the worst toys ever for children. It's just boring, like, it's black and gray.
No, they made other Batman toys. They made a child-friendly version of Heath Ledger's Joker. They made other Dark Knight.
What?
They did.
What? Oh my god. Child.
Yeah, he doesn't have the scars, it's just like a smiley clown guy. He's got like a punching glove bazooka thing. Boxing glove bazooka thing. It's weird.
Joker. I'm looking that shit up. I gotta see that shit. Google Images don't let me down now.
Okay, I want to hear Juan's reaction to this.
If you'd like, all I'm getting is these hyper realistic. Oh, send me a link, please.
There.
Oh my god. Let's see. Okay, let's have a look. Oh my god. Oh, this is so. No, that's. Fuck, that's even. He looks like a fucking pedophile now. I mean, look at his fucking face. It's like, hello, children.
He's like he looks like a rotten jack-o'-lantern a little bit.
He does.
A little bit.
It's even worse. Fuck.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, but like they made child-friendly versions of all the Batman stuff. I think there's even a child-friendly Two-Face, oddly enough, from Dark Knight.
Oh my god. Oh, ladies, gentlemen. This is...
Milan, do you have any final thoughts you wanted to express on costuming?
You don't have to, you can do whatever the hell you want. Like, but the thing is, I want to see things done a little bit more, like, I hate to be that geek, that geek that complains about literally everything. Oh, everything's too good now, I'm gonna complain now. I'm like, no, dude. It's just like, oh, they're not doing what I want to be done, what I want to be done. But like back in the early 2000s, we could complain all we want, but now it's just like complaining about superhero movies just seems like
superhero movies are winning Oscars now, so you need to kind of take what you can get.
Yeah, so, but I'm like. It's just like Marvel. I have no complaints about. I'm like, it's Marvel. They can do whatever the hell they want, because I'm sure it will at least be passably awesome. But with DC, it's just like you don't have to make everything so ultra realistic. I mean, come on, dude, have some fun.
To be fair, I kind of like DC's approach with Dark Knight, Man of Steel. We'll see how...
I don't think it's the approach that's wrong, necessarily. It's just the execution.
Yeah, I think they're just, like, kind of rushing and scrambling right now, and that's the problem.
Because, but to Milan's point, I think it was earlier, or maybe it was your point, Ian, I think it was that it's cool to create a real world and then drop these characters as they are into it and see how people react. They didn't really do that with Superman, because he wasn't really Superman in that movie.
No, but there was genuine shock and awe to the the alien side of things.
Mm-hmm.
People reacted at least somewhat believably. I mean, honestly, Man of Steel was an alien invasion movie before it was anything else.
Yeah, I agree.
It was a better version of Independence Day, if nothing else. So. No, I think that I think the approach of a realistic world and then putting the superheroes in them is fine. I actually like that approach, as long as you make the reactions. Like that's the thing, Marvel Universe is just World War II. Tony Stark's father just makes a car fucking fly, and everyone's like, oh wow. No one's like, holy fucking shit, a car is flying. So it's just you need like that kind of like jaw dropped reaction to things that I think the DC movies do a bit better.
Oh yeah, definitely. That whole kind of
which is what makes them grounded.
I suppose so. But with
it was really funny when it's first announced that Superman, Man of Steel was being done, produced by Nolan. somebody made the point, was like, wait, so since he likes realistic things, is Superman not going to have powers in this universe? I was like, no, that's not what it means. Do
Fanboys.
things realistically. It just means the reactions to the situations are more grounded and less like, oh, there's a kid with spider powers now. Hold on, microphone, please. Oh, there's a kid with spider powers running around the streets now. Let's all sing songs and talk about him in newspapers being a criminal. Shouldn't everyone be amazed that there's a dude swinging from fucking buildings and not dying?
Yeah.
Should we cover that ground first? That's the level of believability. But that has nothing to do with comic books, and that might be a topic in and of itself at some point.
Yeah.
Anyway, next week, or actually, let's back up a little bit here. So everyone, that's our discussion of superhero costumes, and it was a lot of fun. I wasn't sure how much mileage we'd get out of that, but enough hipster jokes against Milan, and it all worked out. Next week we are starting with a podcast on Godzilla. That'll be a special next week. Should be up Wednesday, I think. And it's my turn, so we're going to get 2 reviews next week, oddly enough. And I've had Green Lantern and Star Wars and everything on the mind lately, so I'm going to go with the Green Lantern thing since I did a Star Wars video last time. Yeah, we're going to talk about Green Lantern Emerald Knights, the DC animated movie. That's a lot like Gotham Knight, but, better.
With Green Lantern. Not anime.
Yeah, not anime. Though Dude, I'd love to see some Green Lantern anime. It'd be like fucking Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, that would be cool.
Right? Anyway, so there you go, DC. Get on that. Anyway, so yeah, we're going to be discussing Green Lantern Emerald Knights, the DC animated movie from, 2011. It came, oddly enough, it is in the same continuity of Green Lantern, the live-action film, just like Gotham Knight is. So, take that as you will. That should be a lot of fun, though. So, everyone, until next time, I'm the Philosopher.
Didn't Milan's go?
I don't know if he's still by his microphone.
Okay. I'm the Enthusiast.
And Milan is the Hipster. And we are your Geeky Gentlemen, and we will be discussing things.